You've got a #1 album, you're adored across the globe, playing to sold-out arenas, and then, bam, it's a prison cell, a 29-year sentence, and a brutal, violent end. We're going to dive into the story of a rock star's final, chilling epilogue.
So yeah, that's the big question, right? How does a rock icon end up murdered in a place nicknamed Monster Mansion? To really get it, we've got to go back. We need to look at the beginning, the crimes, and that long, dark fall from grace that led Ian Watkins to his final day.
Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the setting here. HMP Wakefield. I mean, this isn't just any prison. The nickname alone, Monster Mansion, pretty much tells you everything you need to know. This is where the UK locks away some of its most dangerous offenders, and it's exactly where Watkins spent his last years.
And this is the moment that brought his story to its final, definitive close. It was a Saturday afternoon, October 11th, 2025. Emergency services were called to his cell, but it was already too late. The former frontman of Lostprophets, he was pronounced dead right there at the scene.
The details that came out are just grim and direct. Authorities say he was ambushed and stabbed repeatedly by 2 other inmates. And those 2, Rashid Goodell and Samuel Dodson, they were quickly arrested on suspicion of murder. It was a swift, brutal, and, well, final confrontation.
So, the question is, how on earth did he get here? To really wrap your head around the sheer scale of this downfall, we have to rewind. We've got to look at the dizzying heights of his fame because honestly, his life was a story of the most shocking extremes you can imagine.
I mean, this was the absolute peak. Back in 2006, Ian Watkins wasn't just a rock star. He was on top of the music world. His band Lostprophets hit #1 in the UK with their album Liberation Transmission. Just think about that for a second. Millions of fans, magazine covers, sold-out world tours. This guy commanded arenas packed with adoring crowds. He was a genuine icon, you know? The classic story of a kid from a small Welsh town making it big on the global stage. And all that adoration, well, it created this powerful shield, this illusion that he was totally untouchable. And then, this is the fall. You go from a #1 album to a 29-year prison sentence. The contrast is just staggering, isn't it? And look, this wasn't some gradual decline, a slow fade out of the spotlight. No, this was a horrifying, instantaneous revelation that completely shattered his public image forever. But you know what? That 29-year sentence, it only tells part of the story. To really understand the public revulsion and ultimately why things ended the way they did, we have to look at the crimes themselves. And what they revealed was a level of depravity that shocked even the most seasoned legal professionals and cops. So back in 2013, Watkins pleaded guilty to 13 separate charges. The crimes, and what you see here is just a selection, are just deeply, deeply disturbing. During the trial, prosecutors laid out exactly how he leveraged his celebrity status, how he used that power and adoration we were just talking about as a tool for manipulation and ultimately for abuse. And the judge on the case, wow, he did not mince words. His statement in court just perfectly captured the collective horror of the entire nation. He said Watkins had plunged to new depths of depravity. That was a signal right there that this wasn't just another celebrity fall from grace. Nope, this was something far, far darker.
And this is such a crucial point. Amid all the headlines about the fallen rock star, you had advocates fighting to keep the focus exactly where it belonged. Des Mannion from the NSPCC powerfully reminded everyone that the fame, that was just a facade. The horrifying reality was, and always will be, about the victims, about the abuse of children.
So after he was sentenced, the media spotlight pretty much faded away. And what replaced it was the harsh, totally unglamorous reality of life inside one of the UK's toughest prisons. His final decade, let's just say it wasn't one of quiet reflection. It was marked by isolation and a pattern of escalating violence that would, in the end, define his story. This timeline here really maps out his final years. So he gets sentenced in 2013. A year later, he tries to appeal it. That fails. And inside, the hostility from other inmates was just constant. It all culminated in a first assault in 2023, which he survived. And then, of course, came the final fatal attack in 2025.
So what's the final verdict here? What are we supposed to take away from all this? Well, this isn't a story of tragedy. It's a story of consequence. It's about the inevitable, brutal outcome when a life built on manipulation and lies collides head-on with a world, the prison world, that has absolutely nothing left to lose.
When you boil it all down, the summary is just brutal in its simplicity. The man who once stood on stage in front of roaring crowds in massive arenas, he ended his life not with a bang, but in silence and infamy on a cold prison floor.
That journey, from one insane extreme to the other, really serves as a deeply stark and cautionary tale.
In all of this, it leaves us with one final, big question to think about. Look, Ian Watkins' story is an extreme, horrifying example for sure. But it forces us to ask something broader. What happens when that powerful illusion of celebrity finally shatters? And what is the true ultimate price? Not just for the perpetrator, but for the victims, whose lives are forever altered, and for a society that maybe, just maybe, enabled the facade in the first place.